Wow, guys, what a beautiful morning it is. It's absolutely stunning. I'm not sure that you can hear this, but this little spot that I've stopped over at is absolutely just vibrant with birdsong. It is absolutely full of life. So what I've done is I've stopped over at this regular spot that I often come and spend time at, and I've brought my breakfast with me. I've got my coffee there on the go, and rustled up some breakfast. I've had some breakfast all before a consult this afternoon, so it's just a wonderful thing to start the day having breakfast outside, just listening to the bird song at this little spot that I stop regularly at. I'm going to share a little bit more about that little spot in a little while. But guys, what an amazing few weeks we've had, and some really big weeks coming up as well. Last week found myself and Sarah and Matt, a wonderful friend Matt from Golden Glow, out with the Countryside Ranger on a wild food forage walk, really learning and understanding the medicinal and food uses of some of the plants our ancestors would have used within the hedgerow. Such a great walk, a great experience. Learnt so much as well. And we finished that walk up with a real wholesome, hearty bowl of stinger soup. You know, the whole idea of eating nettles, stinging nettles, you think, really? But I tell you, that it was absolutely delicious, and I'm not just saying that. And the thing is, what we really learned, and what I really took from that, was how much nutrients they are within nettles. You know, so packed full of nutrients, and also a real rich source of iron. I really did not know that nettles were such a real rich source of iron. So, you know, as Simon was saying, you know, we talk a lot about superfoods nowadays. Nettles absolutely are a superfood. And the other really amazing thing about nettles is you don't have to go far and you will find a really vibrant nettle patch, and there, right at your fingertips, is you know, nature's larder, you know, supplying such an abundant superfood. And the thing is, with nettles, so versatile. You know, you can make the soup out of it. I've made in this last week nettle pesto, quite earthy but really lovely, and quite delicious. Also, you know, Simon was saying about people that, you know, have juiced it within a NutriBullet. You're going to catch all those nutrients and that iron within a juice. And also, you know, I've looked at a recipe of making a potato and nettle kind of curry. So wonderful, you know, and it is absolutely abundant out there. So as a superfood, you don't have to go far. Nature's larder is supplying it in abundance. So amazing walk that was. Learnt so much from it. We've also made up a really huge batch of elderflower cordial that's probably going to last most of the summer. So yeah, really excited to kind of integrate that as we go further, and as we get up into the Highlands in the later part of the summer. I'm looking to how we can kind of apply that. You know, it's going to be a different landscape, a different environment, but see how we can apply that, see what's there, and what's out there. So fantastic. Also, within this last few days, I found out, it's really kind of quite emotional for me, I found out that Spirit Meets Adventure, I put forward for the Great British Micro Adventure Challenge, and we've absolutely been awarded, and we are been accepted, and we are representing West Sussex in the Great British Micro Adventure Challenge. And the thing is, guys, the story around our overnighter, my solo trip, that I done, when I kind of done that, you know, I kind of went out there and I had this experience of this solo overnighter, and the whole idea about it was to capture some of it on video, to kind of try to inspire people, to show people that, you know, the impossible can become the possible, that you can overcome adversity, you can overcome challenges, you can overcome disability by a positive mindset. And you know, I really kind of caught some of that within that video. You know, I was talking about some of the adaptations that I had to make within my life, within my experience, within my story, even down to, you know, how I used to have to kind of find an adaptation to kind of put on my socks, you know, through my physical recovery and my ongoing story as I continue to absolutely strengthen myself. And you know, we were only talking at the weekend about, you know, adaptability. I was saying with Sarah and wonderful friend Matt from Golden Glow, about when I haul the Topec adventure trailer, that I have to find an adaptation, you know, to be able to kind of get my leg over the crossbar of the bike when the trailer is fitted. I have to look for a curb, a tree stump, a raised area, a small bench to be able to kind of get my leg over the crossbar on the bike once the adventure trailer is fitted. And you know, for me, you know, I'm not going to allow those things to stop me. I'm going to find an adaptation which is absolutely at the heart of approach to life, is to find those ways of adapting to what's happening within your world, and it's such an essential key to adventure cycling, is that you have to kind of, you know, find that positive attitude, find that solution, and find that adaptability, which, you know, is such a really important part of what we do. You know, for me, when I caught and captured that video, my whole intent was to show people that with some positive mindset and positive attitude, that the impossible can absolutely become the possible. And you know, so for it to be shared nationally now, embedded into the micro Great British Micro Adventure Challenge, is absolutely, you know, made my day. You know, I feel very emotional about that, because that video, that message is now being shared all around the country, and that means the world to us. You know, for us, this is what it's all about, is trying to inspire people into their greatness. Which goes on to, you know, a very important point I want to kind of share with you now, is that our one-day cycle challenge is coming up on the 26th of June, which is all about kind of, you know, showing you that the impossible becomes the possible. You're going to learn about tapping into your own inner compass, your sense of self. You're going to learn about sit spots. You're going to learn some foraging aspects, but most importantly, a real sense of leadership, you know, which is an essential part of what we do in the great outdoors. You know, the thing is, I think that the great outdoors is such a great teacher, that what it does is also reconnects us to that lost sense of connection. So we have one space that's come up, guys, so if you are interested, do let us know. Do go over to the event, One Day Cycle Experience. You'll find more details. We have one place. Do please let us know if you are interested. It is going to be an absolute experience. We've got Liam, who's going to be kind of sharing some real knowledge and wisdom around bushcraft, and we're going to kind of share with you some of their stories around adventure cycling, and also take you through a experience and connect you to your own inner compass. It's going to be a great day. So guys, as we go forward, we've got some real big things happening as well. Is this coming weekend, we are riding out, myself, Sarah, Matt and his wonderful dad are going to be riding out supporting Action Medical Research. Action Medical Research support children, and especially babies, and it's going to be a great honour to support that event, to support that campaign, and that cause, and we're going to be riding out with someone who really has inspired me over time, of learning her story and what she's overcome within her own life, emotionally and physically, is the wonderful Davina McCall. So we're going to be riding out with the wonderful Davina, and many other cyclists across Sussex. We're going to be doing a 68-mile challenge this coming Sunday, so really looking forward to that. I'm sure that the other side of that, I'm gonna ache somewhat. So, you know, what a great cause though. Then the following weekend, one that's very close to my heart, is the London Brighton, in aid of the British Heart Foundation. Now sadly, this last Christmas, very suddenly I lost my dear Uncle Ian, who died of a sudden heart attack. Such a special, loving, giving man. And myself and Sarah, Jay, my Uncle Ian's son, and Robert, a very close, dear family member and friend, are going to be riding in honour of Uncle Ian on the London to Brighton, which is in aid of the British Heart Foundation. So very, very important, very special day for all of us as a family. And that is the following Sunday, and then on the 26th we've got a one-day cycle experience. So as I say, if you are interested, please do let us know. We have one space available. It is going to be such an experience. You're going to be riding around about 26 miles across the Sussex countryside to a wonderful special place where change happens. So guys, what I wanted to share with you, I said to you, I'm wonderful little tiny little spot that I come regularly to, is what I wanted to talk to you about is sit spots. And you might be thinking, what is Shane on about sit spots? Now from a wilderness perspective, an adventurer perspective, sit spots all about immersing yourself into the environment. The way that I kind of look at that, I kind of translate that is it's about kind of connecting yourself into the environment. One of the things that I often do when I'm going to stop somewhere for a little while, if I'm going to make a fire, I'm going to make an overnight camp, I'm going to make some food, is I find somewhere within that environment to just sit and just be for a moment, be for a little while. And then what tends to happen is almost like you sink into the fabric of the space, and you quite literally almost become a part of it. So that means that when I go to make that fire, I go to set up camp, I've come from slowing down to be able to kind of do those kind of chores, do those kind of things at a slower pace, which means that I'm going to do them more mindfully, that I'm going to kind of do them with a lot more ease. I think that, as our wonderful friend Matt says from Golden Glow, there's two ways of kind of approaching time. You either are moving in time or you're moving through time, and I think so many people nowadays are moving through time. Life moves at such a fast pace, it's so quick that so often everyone's kind of moving through that time. And the thing is about immersion and kind of connecting with a sit spot is you kind of drop, and it means that in a way you're moving or you're dropping back into time, which is really important. I kind of use it as approach to life. Something happens within life, the best course of action is to actually stop, to pause and reflect. And the same with adventure cycling. Something happens, you've got to find a solution. One of the best things to do is kind of stop and kind of in a way connect to your own inner compass, to the greater, and kind of find that solution. Is one of the things I've absolutely learnt through adventure cycling. So sit spots in a way they create the catalyst for this, they create the space for this. You'll find on the page there's a wonderful guide to finding your sit spot and working with your sit spot. Really worth a look if you are interested in something we're also going to explore on the one-day cycle experience as well. So yeah, I kind of, the other day I was cycling on a trail, and it's a single file trail, very kind of narrow, and I looked ahead and there was this lady, and she was walking her dog, and I remember looking and kind of sensing that she wasn't quite there. She seemed kind of as if she was daydreaming. She seemed like she was in an altered state, really, of consciousness. And as I approached her, I slowed right down and very gently rung my bell. And it took her a while, and she almost like jumped and went, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I was miles away." And it made me smile, made me laugh, because she literally was daydreaming. She was in an altered state of consciousness. And what had happened is, you know, she was out on this walk and she dropped from her conscious mind into her subconscious, and everything had begun to dissolve. Everything else had begun to dissolve, and she was in that altered state of consciousness, which is also what happens when you kind of drop into a sit spot. It's like everything else kind of dissolves. What happens actually is that you connect. So you reconnect to yourself, you reconnect to the environment, you become one, you find your nature and what is natural again, you know. So something very simple is yet so very, very powerful. And I kind of remember looking at that lady and thinking, actually, you know, what's happened to her is that she's dropped, you know, she's dropped back into her sense of self. She's daydreaming, she's allowing. I remember many years ago is stopping on a ride and next to this kind of lake, and there was this little bench, and I stopped to have a bite to eat. And I remember looking over, and this guy fishing, and he kind of greeted me and he said hello, and next minute he said to me, you know what, he says, I don't come here for the fish, I come here for me. And I looked over him and smiled, and I was thinking, you know, what do I take from that? What does he mean? What is he saying to me? And then he kind of looked back at me and said, you know, I come here for the peace and quiet. And then he proceeded to tell me that when he's watching the float across the lake, everything else begins to dissolve. Everything else kind of blends away. Everything else kind of just melts away. And his mind feels free. It's a form of meditation. That was his sit spot. And he said that when he kind of leaves, he feels always a million times better, and he kind of feels more present. And he actually said, I suppose it's like a meditation. And that's always stuck with me. So, you know, I think there's some great wisdom to be found from kind of finding and kind of working with a sit spot. You know, where I am now, it's somewhere I come quite often, so I've seen the landscape change, and I've seen the environment change through the seasons. I remember sitting here in the springtime and you could see through the trees. Now you can't, you know, and the canopy above is just rich. I've got this sense of, you know, the seasons changing. I feel that I'm moving with the seasons. I feel like when I'm here, I feel this sense of dropping into the environment, dropping into the space, almost this sense of everything kind of dissolving and slowing down, which, you know, is absolutely, I think, essential to life. Is that every now and again we need to return back to ourselves and almost like drop back into that connection to what is natural. So do, guys, go and check out the guide to sit spots. I think you'll find it really interesting. One of the other things that I remember sharing with Liam, we were discussing and talking about, was this guy was talking about sit spots, and he said, you know, quite often you hear people say living off the land, and this guy turned around and said it's not about living off the land, it's about living with the land. And, you know, so this sense of sit spots, it kind of harmonizes you, drops you back in harmony with oneself, with everything around you, and I think that that's what we're kind of, in a way, we're really looking for. Is, I think, you know, for all of us that go out into the great outdoors, we're looking for that sense of connection and reconnection to something that was so natural, that something that was so innate to us. We're looking for that long forgotten sense of connection to all things, to what is natural. So there you go, guys, a mixture of things today, but if you are interested in sit spots, go and have a look at the guide as well as this video, and begin to kind of explore that. One of the things that the guy says is that, you know, go and find somewhere quite close to home, somewhere you can return at different times of the day in different seasons, and just kind of, you know, what happens is you begin to watch the world, notice the world, become in harmony with the world, rather than moving through the world or getting caught up in kind of all that kind of energy, you know, that kind of drags you along. Becoming an observer, becoming mindful really is what it's all about. And as I say, from a wilderness perspective, it's known as immersion, immersing yourself into the environment. You know, kind of looking at it from the spirit perspective, it's that sense of connecting to the environment and becoming in harmony with the environment. So there you go, guys. Food for thought. Wishing you all the most wonderful of days.